Hello, and welcome to Budget Commander. On this channel, we'll discuss Magic the Gathering topics with a focus on playing Commander on a budget. We'll cover things like deck building, top cards, deck techs, and more. Let's get started. Hey friends, today we have a Kaalia Zenith Seeker deck tech for you. This is a budget deck tech, specifically 1DH, meaning all the cards in the deck are $1 or under, with the exception of Kaalia, who can be up to $5. As of the day of recording, this deck was just under $35. Cards were price checked using mtgstocks.com, so just note that prices do fluctuate, so when you see this video, prices might be above or below the price point I have them at here today. So this is a sort of tribal deck tech, blink theme as well. So Kaalia is a 3/3 flyer with vigilance, who when she enters the battlefield, you get to look at the top 6 cards of your library, reveal an angel, demon, and or dragon card from among them and put them into your hand, and then the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So the goal is to get a lot of value off of Kaalia, hopefully drawing 3, so 1 angel, 1 demon, 1 dragon, getting 3 cards when you play her, but at least 1 if not more. As always, we're going to start out by talking about the Accelerants. These are the cards that get us extra mana, help us get into our game plan a little bit earlier than that 1 mana per turn from land drops. Then we'll talk about the game plan, the bigs that we're going to be playing. We kind of want to put out big flyers, demons, dragons, and angels, and then smash face. But we also have a lot of value dragons, demons, and angels, because when they enter, they'd have some kind of cool effect as well. Lots of ways to blink either Kaalia herself, flicker, or bounce them so that you can get their enter the battlefield trigger a second or even third time. Then we're going to talk about ways that we're going to interfere with our opponent's game plan, so removal pieces, things like that. The cards that provide consistency in this deck, so help our game plan churning, and then the lands that are going to help us cast the spells in our deck. So for Accelerants, we have Sphere of Suns, Mana Geode, Star Compass, which can give us any of our 3 colors. The Geode enters and scries us 1. The Star Compass gives us any of our colors as long as we have that basic land out. So if we have a mountain, it can give us red. Same thing for plains and swamps. And then Sphere of Sun gives us 3 uses to give us any one of our colors that we need. We also have Talisman of Conviction and Hierarchy, which tap for 2 of our colors at the cost of 1 life. Otherwise, they can tap for a colorless. Armillary Sphere, which isn't a true Accelerant, but it's going to fetch us 2 of our basic lands and help smooth out our land drops, maybe get the colors that we need. And then we have the Boros, Orzhov, and Rakdos Locket, which all tap for 2 of our colors. And when we don't need them for mana anymore, we can sacrifice them for a couple cards. Rakdos, Cluestone, and Mardu Banner are similar in that they give us 2 or 3 of our colors, and then at some point we can also sacrifice them to draw an additional card. That's it for Accelerants. So now we're going to talk about our game plan. This is going to be the demons and all the bigs and ways that we blink our cards. So we have Demon of Catastrophes, a 6/6 flyer with trample. When it enters, you do have to sacrifice a creature, so that's unfortunate. Desecration Demon is great. It's a 6/6 flyer. It just comes in and beats face. Your opponents can prevent it from attacking, but they give it a +1/+1 counter, so eventually this will get out of hand and possibly you won't have anybody that can sacrifice a creature and you can smash for a lot of damage. Butcher of the Horde is another great demon that is a 5/4 flyer. You can give it vigilance, lifelink, or haste if you choose to sacrifice a creature. We also have the Skyship Stalker, just a great mana sink there. You can pretty much determine or guarantee that it's going to win combat if you attack properly, although you do need a lot of red to make it happen. Demanding Dragon has a great enter the battlefield in that it's going to probably deal 5 damage to an opponent or force them to sacrifice a creature. And then Abhorrent Overlord, which is a 6/6 flyer, that's going to give us a bunch of harpies when it enters. Unfortunately, you do have to sacrifice a creature, but if you're able to blink this multiple times, you're going to get a bunch of harpies on the battlefield and cause problems for your opponents. Safara Sky's Blade is a 7/7 flyer with lifelink that essentially gives all of our creatures indestructible. Nearly all of our creatures have flying, so they almost all have indestructible. You can also get it out for cheap under the right circumstances. The Torch Courier is one of our few grounded creatures, and we have it in there just so that we can give a creature haste. So we sacrifice it, and we can give any one of our bigs haste, which allows us to get in for combat damage and other tricks like that. Angelic Renewal sort of gives regenerate to our whole battlefield for any one creature. So if a creature dies, we can sacrifice this enchantment and then return that card to the battlefield. It's great, especially to use on any of our creatures that have an enter the battlefield trigger. That way you get that an extra time. And then we're going to use cards like Liberate, Long Road Home, and Otherworldly Journey to flicker and or blink our creatures. The Long Road Home blinks because it happens right then. It leaves and then it comes back to the battlefield. Comes back with a +1/+1 counter, which is great. Liberate and Otherworldly Journey flicker, which means they leave the battlefield and then at the end of turn they come back. Otherworldly Journey gives it a +1/+1 counter. Liberate only solely flickers. Flicker is nice in that it allows you to dodge board wipes. Blink is nice in that it allows you to dodge targeted removal, but then still be there for the combat step. Just Assure's Portal, Ephemerate, and Cloud Shift also allow us to blink. Ephemerate allows it has rebound, which means you can use it more than once. And then we have Angel of Condemnation for repeatable flicker effects. Whisper Weaver Angel, which blinks a creature when it enters, and then it's a 4/4 flyer, which is great. Emancipation Angel, which is a 3/3 flyer that can bounce a creature, so it comes back to our hand so we can recast it again. And then lastly, we have Mob Rule, which is just a great card to help you overwhelm your opponents and win the game. It's going to give you control of all the creatures with power 4 or greater, or all the creatures with power 3 or less. So just depending on the situation, you pick what you need, and then usually you can take a player out, maybe 2, or in the entire table, just depends. Cards that are going to interfere with our opponent's game plan. We have Cast Down, Justice Strike, and Terminate, which all help us remove our opponent's creatures. Crib Swap, Crackling Doom, and Ravenous Chupacabra also remove creatures. I did want to note that Crib Swap is a shapeshifter instant or tribal instant, so you can actually use Kaalia to draw this by declaring it as a dragon, angel, or demon. Crackling Doom is cool because it's going to get rid of our opponent's biggest or most powerful combat creature. They all have to sacrifice them, so it gets around Hexproof and Shroud. And then you also get to deal 2 damage to everybody. And then Ravenous Chupacabra is just a great ETB creature. Target something, kill it, move on with life. Firemane Avenger is going to help us get rid of those small utility creatures as long as we're attacking with the Avenger and 2 other creatures. Not hard to do, especially since you have flying, so you don't have to worry as much about your opponent's blockers. Angel of Sanction removes anything, and then Tyrant's Familiar. As long as you have Kaalia out, when it attacks, you get to deal 7 damage to one of the creatures the defending player controls. Great removal. Garden Hellkite, another creature we like to blink. When it enters, you get to deal 5 damage however you choose. Disenchant's going to get rid of artifacts or enchantments. And then Magister of Worth is usually a board wipe. It has Will of the Council, so the table gets to choose whether all the creatures from graveyards return to the battlefield, or if all the creatures aside from the Magister of Worth are being destroyed. Usually the table chooses to destroy everything because you're choosing to play this in a situation where the table needs a board wipe to avoid the alpha player from winning or going off. We have Angel of Despair, which gets rid of anything. Mortify gets rid of creatures and enchantments, and Despark, which can get rid of anything with a CMC of 4 or greater. Sunblast Angel is a one-sided board wipe in that it destroys all the tapped creatures, and Hostilities destroys all creatures and permanents attached to them, so equipment and auras also get destroyed. And then Earthquake is also a one-sided board wipe in that it only deals damage to grounded creatures. We have pretty much all flyers, so this is only going to hurt our opponents. Cards that provide consistency. Underworld Connections is going to draw us a card at the cost of 1 mana and 1 life every turn. Siphon Mind is going to force all opponents to discard cards. We draw cards discarded that way. Acrobatic Maneuver gives us a blink effect and draws us a card. We also have cards that reanimate things, so Blood for Bones Bladewing the Risen, and Unburial Rites. These get us cards back from our graveyard to the battlefield. Unburial Rites we can use with Flashback. Bladewing the Risen has Fire Breathing for black-red, and then Blood for Bones gets 1 back to the battlefield and 1 back to our hand. So a great way to get stuff back out of our graveyard onto the battlefield and cause our opponents problems. Graveshifter, a Darkar Valkyrie, also get creatures back from graveyards. The Graveshifter is a tribal card or shapeshifter, so that you can choose it to be a demon, dragon, or angel, and you can draw it with Kaalia. A Darkar Valkyrie only gets cards that just died, so you have to be kind of smart about how you choose to use her. And then the Hoarding Dragon is going to get you an artifact out of your deck, and when the Hoarding Dragon dies, you can play that artifact because it'll go to your hand. Indulgent Tormentor is going to draw us a card unless an opponent sacrifices a creature or pays 3 life. Most of the time your opponent just lets you have a card. And then Kaalia, as we already said, is going to be able to get you hopefully at least 1 card, probably 2, maybe 3. As for the lands, we're running Barren Moor, Forgotten Cave, and Secluded Steppe, which all have cycling, but if we play them, they come in tapped and then can give us 1 of our 3 colors. We also have Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse, which can fetch out whichever basic land we need. Spinerock Knoll essentially draws us a card in that it has Hideaway, so when it enters, we're going to look at the top 4 cards of our library, pick our favorite, and exile it, and then if we ever deal 7 damage in 1 turn to another player, we can play that exiled card using Spinerock Knoll. Nomad Outpost and Vivid Crag give us all 3 of our colors. Temple of the False God is going to give us 2 colorless as long as we have 5 lands or more. Bloodfell Caves, Akum Refuge, Rakdos Carniarum give us black-red. Stone Quarry, Windscarred Crag, Boros Guildgate give us red-white. Boros Garrison also gives us red-white. Forsaken Sanctuary, Orzhov Basilica give us white-black, as do Scoured Barrens and Orzhov Guildgate. As for basics, we got 4 mountains, 10 plains, and 7 swamps. And that'll do it for our deck. The average CMC is 3.71. As you can see, there's the curve. It's a little bit on the higher end, but that's kind of what you expect playing Demons, Dragons, and Angels. We just want to try to get 1 big beater out there each turn and keep swinging in for damage, which seems like a good time to me. If you like the idea of playing with flyers, you kind of like to have a tribal theme, give this deck a go. Let me know how you liked it. Otherwise, let me know which commander you'd like to see a deck tech on next. Hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great rest of your day. Peace. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, you should like the video. You can subscribe by hitting the icon in the top left. YouTube thinks you'll like the video on the top right. Otherwise, you can check out one of the playlists on the bottom. Have a great day.